Hi, my name is Neil Keller. In the previous video, we talked about making the spine feel long, so focusing on the spine section by section so that you can feel the cervical spine, thoracic spine, and lumbar spine, making those feel long individually with the goal of making the spine as a whole feel long. So in today's video, I'd like to focus on practicing lengthening the spine in a variety of poses. And rather than technical poses, I'm going to focus on a few simple poses, fun poses, or even warm-up poses. And these poses are actually based on the idea of everyday movements. So for example, I'm getting a little bit older, and I find certain movements my body doesn't feel quite as good. So what do? Find a way to practice those movements in the context of a yoga practice. And actually what they can become then is basic warm-up movements. So rather than doing something technical like virasana or lotus pose or handstand, just basic everyday movements that you can use as, say, part of a warm-up. So that's what this video will be about, and also what it'll also be about is including spine lengthening within the context of those actions. So first learning the basic action, and then adding the spine lengthening, or trying to keep the spine long while doing those actions or poses. Let's get on with it. So for the very first action, go onto one knee, and if you, presumably you're using a mat, if you find your knees uncomfortable, then double over your mat so that your bottom knee is comfortable. And for this position, the idea is not to go into a deep lunge, but into, I like to call this a square lunge with your hips directly over your back knee. And for this exercise, the idea is simple, simply bending forward and coming back up again. And one reason for this is an action, it's almost like tying your shoelaces. For some reason, I found this sort of action lately a little bit, didn't quite feel right. It's not something that I practice normally, so hey, let's add this to a yoga practice. So for this one, very simply, you can bend forward and then come back up. And the idea here is to go slowly and smoothly. So there's an element of control. You often see videos of people doing exercises and all very quick, and that's fine. But for most of my exercises, I like to do it slow and smooth, so it can actually focus on feeling the movements, changing the movements, or adjusting the movements so that they feel comfortable. And in the case of adding spine lengthening, so that you can focus on feeling the spine and keeping it feeling long while you do the exercise. So the basic exercise, as I said, is to bend forward and then come back up. And if you wanted to, you could keep the front foot pointing straight ahead, or you could turn it out. So you could turn it out if you needed to, so that the front leg hip feels more comfortable. And what you may have noticed the very first time I did this is that as I bend forward, my hips move back. Now one idea you could practice, instead of allowing your hips to move back as you bend forward, prevent your hips from moving back. So keep your hips over your leg, bend forward. And what you may notice as you bend forward, this foot presses down with greater pressure because of the moment arm of your center of gravity. The weight of your body is moving forward, so that's forcing this foot to press down more. So you could think of this as a strengthening action for the front leg and for the front hip. Now that action is pretty basic. What you could then do is switch to the other leg. So try bending forward, notice your hips moving back. So let's do it a little bit slower. Feel your hips moving back. Now work at keeping your hips stationary. Keep your hips over your supporting leg, bend forward. And if you wanted to, if you didn't know what to do, if you don't know what to do with your arms, just put your arms behind your back, bend forward, come up. If you're a little bit unsure, you could have you could touch your hands to the floor, so you have the option of controlling yourself if you wanted to, if you needed to. So going back to the other side, now what you can do, make your spine feel long. So neck, thoracic spine, lumbar spine. Keep the spine feeling long. Keep your hips over your bottom leg. Keep it long. If you wanted to, you could try maybe touching your elbows to the floor and then come back up, then relax. And I was relaxing my spine as I was coming up, so the goal could be make your spine long, bend forward. If you like, move your elbows close to the floor, even touch them to the floor. Keep the spine long, come up, and then relax. So you can repeat that a few times. I'd say a minimum of 3 times. Spine long, so slowly and smoothly, spine long. Keep the spine long. Elbows to the floor, come up. Whoops, lost it. So that's the thing. When you're coming up, for myself, I'm tending to forget when coming up. Keep my spine long. So spine long. Touch the elbows. Keep the spine long. Keep it long. Keep it long. And then relax. So you repeat that a few more times if you wanted to. Now next. So from there, since you're already on one knee, what you could then do is straighten the front leg. And for this position, so suggested when doing the bent knee version, the bent front leg version, you can have the front foot pointing forward or turn it out depending on how your hip feels. For this version, as you're bending forward, you can rotate the thigh in or out. You can also vary the distance from the front between your foot and your knee. So you can vary that distance so that it feels comfortable. Now from here, so again, maybe keep your hands free to begin with. Here again, bend forward. If you wanted to, you could lightly touch your hands to the floor, or if you feel safe, just place your hands behind your back and then come up. So notice my hips creaking a little bit, so I'll be doing more videos talking about that later on. But for now, so that's the basic exercise. Once you're comfortable with that, you can bend forward slowly and smoothly, then come up. And actually, that might be a better goal. So rather than just bending forward and then coming up, bend forward. See how slowly and smoothly, right from the very beginning. So at the very beginning it's a little bit easier, just bend forward. But see if you can bend forward right from the beginning, slowly and smoothly. So notice the onset of tension when it becomes a little bit more difficult. And then come up. And if you wanted to pause in the bottom position, that's fine too. But that's the basic exercise. Then from there, make the spine feel long. And as you're making the spine feel long, you might find it feels right to lift one hip or lower it relative to the other. So your pelvis might not be level, but you'll get even sensation in both sides of the waist. And I'd suggest that's a more important quality, getting even sensation versus making the hips level. Unless, of course, you want to make your hips level for whatever reason, then use a mirror so you can check that your hips are level, or learn to do it by feel. I would prefer to go for a sensation of even length, or I'd recommend going for even length in both sides, unless you have other reasons other things that you want to focus on. But anyway, lengthen your spine from there. Slowly and smoothly bend forward if you like, hands behind your back. And then, so you can pause here, then slowly and smoothly come up. And as with the bent knee variation, as you bend forward, you can notice the way that your heel presses down into the floor. You may notice tension at the back of the thigh as you bend forward, because your leg is actually bearing weight. And that's a proviso. If you find your knees uncomfortable when doing this pose, either leave it out or try pressing the back of the heel down. So without allowing your body to move, try pressing the heel down so the back of the thigh activates, so your knee feels strong as well as your leg, and then bend forward. And if your knee still hurts while doing that, then leave it out. There are plenty of other exercises to do. But next, from there, hands on the floor, step your feet further apart. So for this exercise, very simple, lift the back knee, lower it down, and relax. So that's pretty simple. What you can do from there, lengthen your spine. Actually, we'll make that the first exercise. No. So lift the knee, lower it down. Then from there, lengthen your spine first. And it might be, if you're not used to doing it with your hands on the floor, that might take some practice. So lengthen your spine, relax. Lengthen your spine, and then relax. And then from there, lengthen your spine. Keep the spine feeling long. Lift your knee. Lower down, relax. Spine long. Slowly lift the knee. Lower down, relax. And then if you like, change sides. And for this, for lunge, generally, as with the square lunge, I like to suggest to students, rather than strictly having the front foot pointing forward, turn it out if it feels more comfortable for the hip. Use a position that feels comfortable for the hip. But anyway, so back leg, you can lift the knee, lower it, lift, and lower. Then from there, practice lengthening the spine. Make it feel long. So here again, you can adjust your hips if you need to, so you can make both sides of the waist feel long. And then relax. Make the spine long. Relax. Notice I'm also making my neck, so the entire spine, trying to make the entire spine feel long. So from there, spine long, and then gradually lift the knee, slowly and smoothly, keeping the spine feeling long. Keep the spine long, lower the knee, and relax everything. Spine long, lift, lower, and then relax, and so on. Now from there, what you can do is do it with the torso upright. And again, if this is too hard on either your front knee or your back knee, then you can leave it out. If you need a blanket under your back knee or a rolled up mat, then do that. If you find lifting the back knee with the torso upright difficult, you might want to place your hands on your front leg. Now from here, what you can try doing is lifting the knee slowly and smoothly and then touching it down. And that's probably going to be a little bit difficult, and one of the reasons for lengthening the spine was to make it easier to use your hips. So what I'd suggest first, lengthen the spine, relax, lengthen, relax, and then from there, lengthen your spine, slow and smooth. And then from there, see if you can lift the back knee, keeping the spine long. Touch the knee down, keeping the spine long, and then relax. You can repeat that a few times, then switch legs. So first step, lengthen the spine, relax, repeat that a few times. Then lengthen the spine, keep it feeling long, lift the knee. If you need to, hands on your front leg, touch the knee down, and then relax. So that's a few simple exercises that you can practice making your spine feel long, and you can also practice some basic movements for the hips that you could perhaps use as a warm-up. One other very quick one, which I like to do from standing, and again, very basic, but while standing, just bending forward slowly and smoothly, and then standing up, hips. And that's something else that you could practice. Make your spine feel long, keep your spine long, bend forward, keep your spine feeling long, and then come back up while keeping the spine long. Another one that you could do, chair pose. So spine long, and then from there, bend the knees if you wanted to, reach your arms forward, keep the spine long, and then stand back up. So spine long, bend the knees, so slowly and smoothly come back up. So for both of those exercises, you could repeat them any number of times. If you wanted more of a warm-up, you could repeat the forward bend, so say do that 5 to 10 times, so spine long, slowly bend forward. Keep the spine long, come back up. And if you have problems with hip clicking, maybe have your weight forward slightly so you can turn your feet in or out as you're bending forwards, and as particularly when coming back up. And notice I'm doing that with straight knees. If you think for whatever reason, if you find it hurts your lower back to bend forward or come out of a forward bend with straight knees, then bend your knees if you need to. If anything causes you pain, basic general rule of thumb is don't do it. If you can't feel when your spine is long, then forget these tips. Learn how to make your spine feel long first. So feel that you can make your spine long and then do these exercises. Don't rather just, if you can't feel it, then something's not quite right and you might need to seek more professional help. But anyway, assuming no problems, these are some of the ways that you can practice keeping your spine long in the context of various poses. And these are also basic actions that you can practice using them as a warm-up. So sometimes simple is nice and easy. And tomorrow, for the next video, we'll be talking about keeping the spine long in the sequence of side plank variations that I like to use in my classes. So there'll be some variations there that hopefully you'll find interesting and fun. But thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye for now. Namaste.